Hi, Dr. Smith. This is Deborah Hernandez, your student from EDU 538. So my personal leadership style I would describe as transformational. In the article by Matthew Lynch, where he described transformational as sort of taking from other leadership styles and making it your own through this transformational approach and taking the best of other leadership styles for a deep sense of shared purpose. I honestly feel that emotional leadership is a great place, a place that you connect with someone emotionally, and you can offer support. And also in the servant leadership, taking from that style, and that you hear what others have to say, and you're really there for the people. It's a completely selfless role. However, the transformational aspect makes it rational, right? You're taking the best from those things, but you have a purpose. You need to get a job done. There's a certain connection to mission and vision and moving a project along. The one part of transformational leadership that Lynch spoke about, though, transactional leadership, I didn't fully align with that because it doesn't focus enough on the creativity of others, the thoughts of others, taking those ideas into concern and perhaps implementing them. It really was a quid pro quo approach, and that for me did not work or doesn't align, because I think you have to listen to others, and embracing creativity is very much about who I am as a creative person. I love to hear what other people are thinking, and I think that's a great way to build morale. So my transformational leadership style would include sort of the opposite of transactional as well, but would include the servant leadership part and the emotional leadership part in a rational way. The building skills that I would use, of course, come from Greenleaf's principles. You have to listen. There has to be a sense of empathy. You have to want to heal, to heal through your words and through your guidance. Connection to community, true awareness. But I also truly aligned with Baker and O'Malley's 6 ingredients of kindness, compassion, integrity, gratitude, authenticity, humility, and humor. I think you have to have a sense of humor. So these would be things that I would use to foster positive relationship buildings. Those are little blocks and little attributes from, those 2 thoughts, Greenleaf and Baker and O'Malley. In approaching relationship building and how it compares and contrasts to the relationship building in a servant leadership role, well, a servant leadership role typically is focused, the way I see it, on a mission and a vision. Those are very important aspects, so that a set of values can be implied. Perhaps they are unspoken rules, but they're there. And that having a concrete mission and vision is just a great pillar or pillars in building a structure, the architecture of a project or an office format, so that followership can come into play and they have something to sort of guide them. And I think it differs from regular relationship building in that my regular relationships, certainly honesty and loyalty come into play, but there's not always this strict vision and mission, this adherence to that. It's more carefree. And in my regular life, relationships have ebbs and flows. And I suppose any relationship could, even in the professional world, but certainly if team players aren't aligning and there's a refusal or refusal to, there may need to be some adjustments. And sometimes people just don't fit and are not the right fit for certain offices or certain, or if they're playing, they are in the role of subordinate. Personal experiences, positive, examples of my strength and examples of challenges that I face. Well, certainly in terms of strength, listening is a skill of mine. I know how to sort of be quiet and actively hear what others have to say. It is a skill I continue to work on. The other strength I feel is connecting to community. I realize how important that is through my world as a yoga teacher. Community is huge. We are all about community, coming together with not only what goes on in the studio, but serving our community, picking up, arranging for trash pickups on the beaches or in different neighborhoods, food drives. I also connect to community through my service on the Alice Austin House Executive Board of Directors. So I know how important it is to serve on committees as a board member and to truly be aligned with what's going on. The Alice Austin House is a historic house and museum here in Staten Island. It has taught me so much, working with all different kinds of people, from retirees to scholars, to different kinds of creative people, lawyers, doctors, and just coming together for the sake of this building that happens to be in my neighborhood that I absolutely adore. And so that community, that sense of community, I realize how important it is. And not everyone is willing to, service or be of service in community. So I recognize that as a strength in myself. And also being able to to show praise and acknowledgement. I have no problem thanking someone, making note of what they've done and letting them know that it was really appreciated. I work with interns as well as I work with design students. And when I work with interns, I, help them structure a resume when they have very little life experience, and building them up to let them know that being a waitress is a great skill. Like, you have great people skills that you develop by doing that, even though their goal is to be a designer. But when you're just starting out, that resume may be, geared a little bit differently. And so building people up, looking at student work and noticing their strengths and encouraging them to build on that is something that I do well. Now, weaknesses, I will go back to communication and listening. That sometimes, and that's where my weaknesses or my challenges come into play, that sometimes the listening, because I get excited and I want to share or I want to make things right for someone, I might not allow them the space to truly open up and hear, so that I can hear them. So I am still learning on how to truly get quiet and open up the listening. The other challenge for me is confrontation. I've been an adjunct since 1997. I've worked with a lot of other adjuncts and a lot of wonderful professors, tenured and non-tenured, all sorts of personalities in the creative world of higher education. And there are several people who repeatedly say and do things that are, quite frankly, offensive, not only to me, but to students. There's gossip, there's all these things. And I'm not quite sure how to handle that. Often I don't say anything, and I just walk away. But I have to learn to put an end to that, to let them know that it's wrong and it's offensive, whether it's insulting to me or to other students. And so I'm working on that. And then the other thing that is really challenging for me is because sometimes I don't know what to say or I need time to process, I often dial it back, don't say anything, but I also don't arrange to come back and have a conversation at a later time when I have thought things through so that I do know what to say. And I know I can do that, but often I just let time go and go and go and go, and then a situation is never addressed, or I never get to that point where I can have a conversation and confront. So these are just skills with communication and confrontation mostly that I am working on. The importance of followership. For me, followership is important because it is essential to, you can have a great leader, a leader that does everything wonderfully, but if you don't have followership, how are things going to get done? You have to have a team who works towards the goals, the vision, who see it and who align with it and who are energized by it. I think effective followers are the followers who follow with enthusiasm. So sort of cultivating that within your leadership style, like pulling this out of your team and getting them excited and motivated is one of the key benefits of followership, and it's essential. And how I would develop followership are using many of the principles that were so inspiring by Robert Greenleaf. Of course, listening and coming from an empathetic place and truly being your authentic self, like wanting to be present and to hear, to make a difference, to rise people up so that so that you trust you and you build that relationship with them, and they want to be there for you for the sake of the big picture. I think you have to be very aware and paying attention, so that you can help with healing, which I think is really super important in our world right now as we dive into 2021. There is such a need for that. So that's how I would create a followership, and really demonstrating true leadership through being of service to others. Thank you, Dr. Smith. Take care.